What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to another edition of Titans Global Podcast. I am your host, Maximus Titan Fan, and it's with me, as always, is my buddy Link. What's up, Link?
What's going on, man? What's going on, guys? Good to see y'all again. Glad to be back. Excited to talk to y'all tonight. We got a lot of stuff to cover. But as always, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to share. We want to reach as many people as we can, and that's because we do this for you guys. We want you to comment, get in the comment section, talk to us. We want input. If you disagree with us, let us know. If you agree with us, let us know. So, gonna have a great show. Excited for it.
That's right. And in case you didn't notice, we had a very special guest tonight. T.I. from Titans Idiot Nation. What's up, man?
Yeah, thanks, fellas. I appreciate you having me. Appreciate you having me on board. It's always fun to talk Titans. Always fun to talk football. Always fun just to have fun. So, I appreciate you guys having me. So,
yeah, and anybody out there who watches my show that doesn't know who this guy is, maybe you're on Twitter or, one of those that, I don't know, just doesn't know. I don't know how he would slip through the cracks, man. But a couple of years ago, when I was just a Titans fan perusing the social media before I was Maximus Titan fan or whatever I am now. Anyway, before I did this, I knew the dude with shades, man. The dude with the shades, with the crazy takes, man. He always said just wild stuff like, my favorite recent one is Tyler Boyd's scene at the dollar store picking up kitty litter when he was in town. I thought that was the greatest way to say that he was in Nashville.
I mean, everybody was like, people were like 2 days prior to that were like, Titans signing Tyler Boyd. Meanwhile, other people were like 4 months out were like, yeah, Titans are probably signing Tyler Boyd, But it was just hilarious to me that day. It was just like everybody wanted to have the scoop, right? Which is cool. I get it. That's the business we're in. But it's like, newsflash, we all knew it was coming. Like, there's no scoop, right? The only scoop is the kitty litter, scooping the poop out of the kitty litter, Tyler Boyd was doing. But that's the whole thing, man. Just kind of take that other side of it, that story within the story, that other point of view, It's
absolutely
everybody can talk about Tyler Boyd's in town and he's probably going to sign a contract, but not everybody knew he was buying kitty litter at Dollar Tree until they tuned into me, right?
That's right. That's right. And who knew he was going cheap, man? He was getting the.
That's right. That's right. Pretty litter, man. I mean, he probably has multiple cats, so he's learned like you got to get the best bang for your buck when it comes to kitty litter. I have two cats. I mean, I know how it is. I don't buy the best of the best, but I definitely buy some mid grade. I buy some mid grade kitty litter. It's very important. It's very important.
That's right. You cannot go clay. You have to have clumping, and it needs to have some kind of like Arm & Hammer, some kind of scent in there to take that away. I got two cats of my own, man. I feel you, brother.
That's right. I mean, if anybody was tuning in for in-depth Titan coverage, they've already got it because we're right there. Kitty litter.
Yeah, Nashville cats. Anyway,
that's good. That's good. Oh man, that's a good pun.
You like that? All right.
I do. So anyway, I do like that. I'm a dad. I do like that.
Tonight, we are talking about a few different things, but the main topic is Treylon Burks. And if you don't follow me on social media, you should. But if you don't, it's okay. I wrote a pretty good story about Treylon Burks on Stadium Rant. Again, if you don't, you should. But
spoiler alert, he said he needs to be better. Needs to be better. Yeah. That's what Maximus said. Treylon needs to be better is what Maximus said.
And that's true. That is honest to God truth. I'll be honest with you, man. When he came out 2022, 33 receptions, I think he had like 444 yards, which is a weird number, and one touchdown. I was kind of excited. I was like,
those are all weird numbers. Those are all weird numbers.
Maybe dude's got a thing for double digits, but I did not think that in 23 he was going to come out and have, I think it was 16 yards more than Derrick Henry.
Yep.
And we all know how many passes Derrick Henry catching.
Yep.
I mean,
come on.
Well,
I don't
for
want
me,
to
go that route.
Go for it, Link. What you got?
No, for me, the issue was, I mean, you think back to that season, and you go back to the Philly game when J-Rob was fired, And you look at that, and people forget he was coming off a 111-yard game against Green Bay, a 70-yard game against Cincinnati. He gets the concussion in Philadelphia. Everything goes downhill from that point on. J-Rob gets fired. A.J. Brown has a comeback game. And then, after that, you had that spark, you had that hope, and it was just never recovered from that point on. And I mean, let's be honest, the dude was brought in to replace A.J. Brown. I mean, it is what – I mean, you let him go – you go get him in the first round, and that's what he was supposed to be, and then we just haven't seen that spark since.
So, Link, you let us segue into my my tease and my conspiracy theory, my AJ Brown, Treylon Burks conspiracy theory. I'll let that slide for a minute until the time is right. But I actually went with 3 of my best friends in my fantasy football league, good friends I've been friends with in high school. We went to the Green Bay game. We saw that game. Treylon Burks balled out. We all were just loving it. And I've been more productive since then. So with that being said, everybody put their tinfoil hats on. Clown me if you want. I've ran this conspiracy by some football fans who think it holds weight, but let's be real. AJ Brown's petty. AJ Brown's petty. We know that. No disrespect to his talents. No disrespect to AJ Brown, the person, the human, the football player. AJ Brown is petty.
Yep.
That hit that Treylon Burks took in the Eagles game, I still personally think that was a hit. I think that was beyond. I don't mean just a regular football hit. I mean that was AJ Brown said, "I want you to take this man out. This man was my replacement. This man's the reason why I'm not on this team anymore." I'm happier as a player because I'm in Philly, but I'm still a very petty, vindictive person. I'm not. If AJ Brown was here right now, I'd tell him the same thing. I'd probably still drink a beer with him, give him a dap, but I'd tell him you're petty as you're petty as hell, man. You really are. I still think that there was a hit out on Treylon. Treylon took that hit that I've never seen any player hit. Never seen any Titans player hit and still hold on to the ball. He held on to the touchdown.
Yep.
I think that touchdown was him holding on to it. It was to basically hit everything that was about him in that moment of basically, I'm supposed to be the AJ Brown replacement. And Treylon Burks has never been the same since. And nobody will ever steer me away from that. I think that AJ Brown orchestrated that hit on him, and I think Treylon Burks is a different player because of that hit. That was one of the most vicious hits and concussions I've ever seen in football, next to like Antonio Brown taking that hit from Vontaze Burfict. I mean, I'm being real. That was a vicious hit. So, I think that's the problem with Treylon. I think that not only he has health issues with asthma, but I think he has his concussion issues are very real.
Yeah.
And we've seen it. And that the little hits that he's had from just falling on the ground, I think is a aftershock from that Philly hit.
And that's what we've talked about.
That's going to be his career.
Yeah, and that's what we've
talked
about.
Career.
That's what we've talked about numerous times on the show. It seems like the one thing that keeps standing in his way is getting on the field. It's just injury after injury after injury, and it's so hard to be successful in the NFL because you can take all the reps you want at practice and training camp and preseason until you get in live football games and you get in live football shape. You're not going to be successful in this league, and that's been his biggest downfall is just overcoming the injuries, overcoming the concussions, overcoming the little tweaks and stuff that just keeps him off the field. And I think that's been his biggest detriment on this team. I really do. And, we're going into this new season. Things seem to be hopeful. I mean, he's already running with the ones right now just because you've got some people absent. So I still want to see the guy succeed. But I mean, he's fighting for a number 4 spot at this point. He's having to fight for a number 4 spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Man. And I'll be honest with you, dude. We talk about it like constantly on the show about consistency. But the only way you can stay consistent and the most important attribute to any football player, I don't care what position you're in, any football player is availability. You have to be available for your coaches to call. And if you're sitting on the sideline with crutches, it doesn't really matter.
That's why NWI still has a spot on this team, in my opinion.
Boom.
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
fact.
That is, I was going to say, you're dropping facts, dude. That's just truth. And to be honest, Treylon Burks missed 7 games last week with injury, or last year with injury. And the second injury is the one that really concerns me. And this is why. It's first of all, you got to know where you are on the field. Okay, you had, as a receiver, you had to know that was going out of bounds. I mean, there's no way you can land that ball in bounds. And he puts himself in bad situations constantly. His body position. Now he gives up his body for the play, and I love that, but I don't know. That concussion in 23 really scared me about just the fact that he doesn't seem to have that alarm bell of, oh crap, or even the knowledge of the trajectory of this ball is going 10 yards out of bounds. I shouldn't throw myself up for that one. I mean, you see the pros do it all the time. They'll just throw up like one hand and just kind of run off, and you hear your buddy
try to get the penalty.
Yeah, you hear your buddy over in the crowd
that's
going,
all
man,
it
he
is.
didn't even give it effort, man. And it's like, well, it was going
Yeah.
10 yards out of bounds. Who gets it? Nobody cares. But
yeah, unless I got Inspector Gadget arms, it ain't happening.
exactly.
And I think that's just him trying to do too much because he knows he's walking a thin line. I mean, he sees the report. I mean, these guys are kids. I mean, they read the news, they read the reports, they read social media. I mean, it's crazy to think they don't. So, I mean, he knows the talk about him. I mean, I feel like he tries to go a little bit above and beyond, but I mean, if not to get off on a tangent here, but that's kind of my concern about Will Levis. I feel like he puts himself in situations where he tries to make a play or he tries to do too much, like the forced fumble after the interception. Amazing play, but that's not something I want to see a 10, 12-year quarterback do it. I mean, it's just not. I mean, he's young now, but 5 years down the road, that's what lands you on IR.
I think that, and you're right. You're 100% spot on, definitely. But just to play devil's advocate there, I think Will Levis, not only from the regular rookie pressure, I think he had a lot of pressure from Vrabel. I think he had a lot of pressure from the shadow of Tannehill, and I think in any of us would have went above and beyond the situation to kind of prove. And in 6-7 games in, Vrabel's like, hey, that kid's a hell of a competitor, Mm-hmm. So I think that played into it. I think we're going to see a new Will Levis. I think we're going to see a calm, composed Will Levis. I think we're going to see a Will Levis that believes his coaching staff believes in him and has built a team around him. And that gives him the ability to not have to go out there and play like a, absolute maniac. Because, man, there were 4 games at least minimum that he was playing like a video game. I mean, that he was out there like a helicopter, I mean, I was just like, this man isn't going to make it through a career. He isn't going to make it through a season. So yeah, like 100%. I get that. Definitely. Like, I definitely feel he was putting himself out there doing some crazy shit, but, wait, hold on. We've surpassed the demonetization amount of cussing.
Oh yeah.
Right? So that's okay if I said that, right?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So, but no, I mean, seriously though, anyway, like I feel like we're going to see a new Will Levis just because I feel like he's going to have a team of coaches around him that believe in him.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that Vrabel didn't believe in him, but he didn't at first. He didn't want him at first. He wanted to stick with Tannehill, which is fine. I'm a Tannehill guy. I will go to the grave with Tannehill. He was a great asset for us. But the time had come and I had switched and everyone else, had switched, but Vrabel hadn't. And I think that was mentally a blockage for Levis. And I think that moving forward, we don't see that.
Yeah, I agree. And to kind of segue and to go back to Burks just a little bit, I mean, Levis has receivers now. You've got Ridley, you've got Hopkins, you've got Boyd. So in my eyes, and I want to get your guys' opinions, is Burks in a prime position for that number 4 spot, or who do you see kind of taking that away from him if they do? Do you see NWI coming back in? Do you see Kyle Phillips getting another chance? Do you think Burke gets a role in that? Because, I mean, they just said this week, because of his size, because of his physicality, because of his speed, they love what Burks is doing on special teams right now. He was even doing some returns and drills this week. So do y'all see him starting special teams and then kind of working his way into that number 4 spot, or do y'all see him getting that number 4 spot right away? And I know a lot of that has to do with camp battles and preseason, but right now where everything sets and who's on this roster, who do you think is in prime position for that number 4 spot?
I think it's pretty easy. I mean, to be honest, right now, I think it should be Treylon. But to be honest, it really could be Phillips, could be Jaquan Jackson, could be Kiaris Jackson, could be NWI. I mean, right now it could be any of those guys. Any of those
Michael
guys could be the
Jackson
number
could
4.
be.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. That's another interesting question we were going to talk about tonight was, how many wide receivers are we keeping and who are the wide receivers are we keeping? But, number 4, is he a lock at number 4, Treylon? No, I don't think so. I mean, he definitely, I don't think was the fourth best producing wide receiver on our team last year. And we were stripped of wide receivers. Now we've got, 2 of the top 20 receivers in the NFL. I would easily say Calvin Ridley and D Hop are both top 20 receivers. And then you got Tyler Boyd, who is, arguably
the best slot receiver.
I was going to say the best slot
Hands down.
receiver since he's been in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, we probably have 3 of the top 25 receivers in the NFL, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then
easily.
the checkdowns. I mean, I put that up on Twitter just yesterday, I think, but the checkdowns are going to be fire this year. I mean, when you're out of options up top and Will Levis needs to check down, he's checking down to Tajay Spears, who is like a freaking human Pac-Man.
Yeah.
And then, or Tony Pollard, who is kind of the same thing. I personally, I have more faith in Spears, but that's just me. But as far as Treylon Burks goes, I feel like anywhere he can get on the field, I don't care if it's a gunner, even though he has his injury issues. I don't care where it can be. He needs to be available to his coaches as much as possible, be on the field as much as possible. Because otherwise, he might be fighting for a roster spot.
Whew.
I mean, the only coach
Definitely.
that's really gloated, other than the early offseason stuff we heard, but the only coach that's gloated about him recently is Art, who is the the special teams coordinator. So,
Yeah, I think
Colt Anderson, that's what I meant. Colt, not Art. My bad.
Yeah, and I think, was it Nick Holtz? He said that he's exceeded expectations. I think I saw a report on that. And then, special teams talking about, what he's done there. I feel like with what he is, just like they talked about, it's rare to find that size with that speed and what he can do. And maybe that does make him a special teams guy. But like you said, the biggest thing to me is just getting on the field, because it's going to be tough to do anything in this league if you're only starting 11 games this year. I mean, he's got to hit at least 15 games of availability for this to be a successful season for him in my eyes.
Yeah, I think obviously his physicality, his size, his speed, compared to NWI or Kyle Phillips is going to put him above. But I think it's going to become a situational play at that point, because it doesn't matter your size, doesn't matter your speed, doesn't matter who you are. Like, all 3 of those guys are going to have a better situation depending on the play.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Kyle Phillips, God forbid, we don't want to see him on special teams because he'll die. And, NWI, I don't know. He doesn't look like a very physical guy. He looks like a more agility, more speed, like more finesse, more like I'm just going to hit the exact break or the exact cut or the exact hole that you need. Treylon Burks will mow you over if that's his only option. And so I think he has the upper hand in those guys, but it's going to be situational for him. So I think Treylon Burks can really shine on special teams. They can go down and really stand out and still make plays on the field as a receiver, but it's a tough situation. We got D-Hop, we got Tyler Boyd. What do we got? Maybe 1-2 years each of those guys, maybe max. Do we just write Treylon Burks off as a loss and let him go, just because we have these guys at the moment? I think we need to nurture Burks and see what we got, because he could very well fill the role as Boyd, because he was a slot receiver in college. He's a great slot receiver at Arkansas. So, I just think the guy is too physical and too big and too talented to just write off as a bust. He didn't ask to be drafted in the first round. John Robinson did that because he panicked and traded AJ Brown.
Yep.
And So it's always been stacked against him, and I'm not making excuses for him because like there's been plays where I'm just like, dude, come on, man. My Helen Keller could have caught that, but it's just like there's just some games where I'm like, this guy is one of the best players on the field. He might be the best player on the field, but he just can't stay on the damn field, So it's a tough situation. It's tough. We got this first round pick that we all want to succeed, but we don't want to write him off. A lot of our gut tells us he's a bust, but I just think that there's still something there. And I just don't want to just let him go to some other team because we have the flavor of the week, the flavor of the month. Right. I don't know. Are we going to have D-Hop next year? I really don't know. It depends on what we do this year. Right. Exactly. If we're close, if we really make a buzz, we really make some noise. We're so close. I think we keep D-Hop. If not, I don't think we see D-Hop, and we're going to be looking for a replacement. So that's my whole take. Like, I'm not ready to write the dude off just yet. I'm like Maximus. He needs to be better. He needs to be real better. But I'm not ready to just write him off just yet.
Yeah. But I mean, I also said in my story, he's never going to live up to the first round pick that we drafted him from. We should just accept that. Now I just want him to be a productive part of our offense. I don't really care what that entails, or just our team. Even if it's special teams, the new kickoff rule is going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see the kind of strategies that the coaches employ here, because I feel like the speed of the NFL will give this a lot more of a fun aspect than it did in the UFL. I don't mean to bash anybody in the UFL. I'm just saying that there is a step above, and I mean, looking at somebody with speed like a Donnie Mitchell next to somebody with speed like NWI, it's kind of like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I could see how that dude could, smoke the other guy. Yeah, sure. It's natural. So, agreed. I'm not ready to write him off quite yet, especially because of his contract. I mean, John Robinson gave him a fully guaranteed contract. Right. So it doesn't matter if we cut him this year, next year, whatever, we're still paying him the full contract. So we might as well keep him around unless we can trade him off or something or whatever. But like you said, I don't know if we need him for next season. Maybe we're trying to wedge him in. Like you said, I'm not ready to give up on the kid, but my God, does he need to be better? He needs to be better.
Yeah, and we're gonna do hot takes later, and I kind of just want to throw this out there. People talking about roster spots and cutting him completely. They'll get rid of Malik Willis before they get rid of Treylon Burks. I believe they'll take out Malik Willis to keep an extra receiver on this roster, because I feel like they know that fourth spot's going to be up in the air. So it wouldn't shock me at all if they kept a Burks over Malik Willis. If they were going to cut one of those two players, I think it would be Willis.
I agree with you, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I agree too. Callahan said he likes people to score touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, I think he on the record said likes people to catch touchdowns. I think he said.
Mm-hmm.
So Malik Willis doesn't catch touchdowns.
No.
I mean, he could. Who knows? He could. No offense to Malik. I mean, he's a gifted athlete. He might be a great receiver. Might be a great tight end. I don't know. Maybe we need to explore that. That's a whole different. That's a whole different episode.
I'll be honest with you. Somebody brought up the thought of keeping him around as a return specialist. And I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, you know what? Maybe that's not a bad idea. But then I thought about how many fumbles the kids had. And then I was like, you know what? Our return spot isn't great about fumbling the ball. Maybe we shouldn't put Malik Willis back there. Maybe that's not a great idea. You have one of those thoughts where it's like, oh yeah, that's genius. And then you're like, no, it's not. That's a terrible idea. Why would you even bring that idea?
Sometimes it works on Madden. Sometimes it doesn't, But again, though, there's a lot more pressure in the position of a quarterback than there is as any other position. So maybe he doesn't have as many faults as his only job is to make sure people don't tackle him, as opposed to his job to make a complete pass. I mean, I'm not trying to be ugly, I mean, I'm an Auburn fan. Malik Willis, I've been watching that kid. I've been watching highlights of him in high school. He was originally signed to Auburn. He got beat out by Bo Nix, and And I wasn't a fan of Bo Nix either. I'll be honest. Like I wasn't a fan of either guys. So a lot of times, like when I kind of give a critical take on Malik Willis, people are like, "Oh, you're just a hater," and I'm like, "Well, I've been watching footage of the dude since he was a sophomore, and I wanted him to be the next everything, but he couldn't beat out Bo Nix at Auburn, and Bo Nix couldn't compete at Auburn. That he had to go out to Oregon. So it's just kind of like, again, like I'm not a football expert by any means, but you know, I've been watching football since I was about 10 years old. And, you know, I've been watching Auburn football, especially before I even knew the NFL even existed. And I'm just like, I wanted Malik Willis to be the second coming of Cam Newton, you know, it just didn't happen. So he went to Liberty, which is great for him. Went to Liberty, made a stage for him, was able to get drafted. Great for him, made money, more power to him. But the reason why I went to Liberty was just because, like, hey, I'm not going to get to play. I get that, but it's like, well, you could have learned a lot from watching Alabama and LSU and Georgia every week, but you didn't. You went to go to Liberty, and you put up cute computer video game numbers. So yeah, it's a weird situation, man. You know. So.
Yeah, but I feel kind of bad for the kid, to be honest, because he was the last year of John Robinson's horrible draft picks, and yeah, coming from Liberty, I mean. Shouldn't have been drafted that high. No. I just feel bad for the kid because then when he got here, everybody was like, "Oh, McNair 2.0," and I was like, "Whoa, slow y'all's roll."
You're like, "Whoa, hold up, who's this?
Yeah,
Who this?
He runs and passes. That doesn't mean he's Steve McNair. Calm down." But
no.
Anyway, I don't want to hate on Malik Willis, man. I've given that kid enough trouble. He knows how.
Yeah, no, and that's what I mean. I don't mean it negative at all. I just mean like, look, I've got about a 3 or 4 year head start window on watching this dude's tapes, and I'm just like, yeah, maybe he wasn't the guy that a lot of people thought he was, you know.
Well, and if you think this wasn't the right system for him last year, it's definitely not going to be the right system for him this year. I mean, that's exactly, and that's why I feel like it's just time to move on and give him a chance to have
Baltimore.
Success. You know, exactly.
Send him to Baltimore. He needs to go to Baltimore.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yep. Put him in a position, put him in a scheme where he can succeed. It's just not going to be here in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not.
I love that.
Or the UFL or Canadian League, one of those other leagues.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not here in Tennessee. See you, league.
Yeah, he might smoke ass in the UFL now. Might think about
or the WWF. I don't, whatever it is.
Or the CFL.
He can fight Jake Paul and Mike Tyson at this point. But let's just
arena football.
Make sure Will Levis is the guy moving forward.
Arena football. Oh,
arena football's back in Tennessee.
Nashville Cats. Go play for Jeff
That's right.
Fisher.
Nashville Cats. God. Jeff Fisher saved the day. Superman Jeff Fisher.
Jeff, all right.
Back in the day, I worked at Ruby Tuesday and I waited on Jeff Fisher back a long time ago. He tipped me $5. $5.
Big.
You hear that, Jeff Fisher? You hear that, Jeff Fisher? I know Jeff Fisher's watching right now, and he is embarrassed.
He should be. The best Titan show. Anyway,
$5, and I gave good service too.
That's crazy, man. $5. How much was the full bill? Are we talking about a $20 lunch? Like it was alone?
We're talking like $19.99 at Ruby Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like it couldn't have been that expensive. No, man. You know.
Oh, man.
So, question. You mentioned earlier about Callahan's comments. He likes people that catch touchdowns. And I did want to talk about this before we missed it. So, when we're talking about catching touchdowns,
Brock Bowers. Right?
Who are we looking at tight end wise? Who are we looking at tight end wise on this team who's going to catch more touchdowns?
Oh, man.
Chig or Wiley?
So to catch more touchdowns, I think it's I think to catch more touchdowns is Wally because I think it's just going to fit the red zone scheme. But I think Chig still. I think if they use him as a wide receiver and not necessarily as a red zone target, he can be equally as productive. But he's kind of a odd fit for this style of offense. I've never seen Cincinnati have a finesse tight end ever. I mean, they always have some, like third-rate Gronk or, George Kittle wannabe, You know, I mean, Will Walker was still better than anybody they've ever had in the last like 10 years. I mean, but they had God, what was it? They had that one kid that for a few years was great, but he was always getting hurt. Tyler Eifert, he was great, you know, for a while. Like Josh Wiley like he reminds me a lot of Eifert, and I just don't know if like maybe that's the route they go. I don't know. We will have a lot of answers this year, but if I'm going to Vegas and I'm putting some money on who scores more touchdowns as a tight end, I think it's Wiley. Because we're not going to have the Derrick Henry red zone. Like Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears are great, but when we're in the red zone, we're passing 90% of the time. We're not running it anymore. So that's why I think that. Now, I could be completely wrong. I've seen Tony Pollard was on my fantasy team last year. I saw that dude score touchdowns that I'd never thought he would. So, I mean, he's a great player. It really is. I think Titans fans are going to be overwhelmed at like some of the stuff he does and not even expecting it. You know, him and Tajay are like 1A, 1B. It's gonna be really fun to watch teams try to scheme against that because you can't. You're not gonna know what the Titans are doing because of the offense is gonna be mirrored. You're gonna have tight ends that can catch and pass and block. You're gonna have mirrored running backs. You're gonna have, I mean, D Hop and Calvin Ridley. I mean, that's 1A, 1B receivers there. Like we've got the best offense that we've had in probably the last like 15 years, you know.
I'd agree.
Outside of Derrick Henry. Outside of Derrick Henry. I mean, it's like addition by subtraction, you know, addition by subtraction. Like I know a lot of people hate to see him gone, but time had come, you know.
Yep.
But anyway, I'm not trying to dominate that conversation, but yeah, that's my take on it. You know, I think it will probably be Wiley.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think it will be Wiley. I wouldn't be shocked to see Chig have a pretty breakout season though. It just wouldn't shock me. I think he might really come into his own this year. And, you know, people are talking about it may not be a good fit for him, but I kind of disagree with the speed he has at the tight end position. I could see him lining up in that wide receiver spot. I mean, I really could. I could see them putting Wiley and Chig in at the same time and just giving that dual threat. So yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Chig has a breakout season. I want to see it happen. I love the way he plays. I love the guy. I'd like to see him here for 2 or 3 more years. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think the ceiling's high with him. So yeah, no, but I do agree. Just looking at the way things are now, I think Wiley has a better shot at it. But again, it wouldn't shock me if Chig really shows out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think Chig is probably tight end number 1 at the end of the season. Looking at the stats wise, I think it's probably he'll probably end up somewhere in between like 4 and 700 yards, something like that. But yeah, no, I think Wiley is more touchdowns, and the only reason I say that is because a lot of people talk about the big-bodied tight ends that can act like a post in the basketball and just block you out with their body, and that's Josh Wiley. I mean, that's his whole game. He's 6'7". His arm length is like 32.5 inches, and his vertical leap is like 33 or 34 inches. That means you could throw a ball over 12 feet in the air, and homeboy can still catch it.
It's true.
It reminds me a lot of me in high school before I blew my knee out, to be honest, you know. So I could have went pro, but the knee held me back, guys.
Couldn't we all?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel you, brother.
I mean, I'm, you know, I still have thoughts about it.
Yeah. I have regrets about not taking my athletics more serious. But other than that, no. I mean, look at me, dude. I'm 5'8", maybe 140 pounds soaking wet.
I feel you, man. I'm 5'6", vertically challenged, part Scottish, part Irish. I'm not jumping high, man. Come on, bro. I'm not jumping high. I might jump up on like a soapbox or something. But
there you go.
Exactly. Yeah, jump up on a hickory
stump.
About
as far as I'm gonna get. Give me some phone books so I can talk to you.
All right, so offensive line, everybody's talking about it. Kind of want to get your thoughts on the right guard and the right tackle. Who do you think starts?
Oh man,
way too early prediction.
I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, it's not going to be rad news. It's not going to be, what's it, the cat from Brunskill. It's not going to be Brunskill. Like at that point, it's a wild card the way I look at it. I mean, I can tell you who it's not going to be, and y'all can tell me who it's going to be. But I can tell you it ain't going to be those two guys, right? You know, I mean, I think we're going to see, obviously, Cush. We're going to see, you know, Skronk. We're going to see Latham. You know, what Sebastian? Who's the other cat we signed as a free agent? Not Sebastian, starts with the S, but
Watson or Sadiq Charles. Sadiq Charles.
He's defense though, right? Offense, like I'm showing my Titans idiot here.
He's
okay.
An offense.
Yeah, see that's a thing. Like, see, at that point, like I just feel like all these guys are a toss up. Like, I really don't know. You know, I guess we're in some voluntary workouts at this point, so it's like let's just see what happens at camp. But you know, this time last year, I was like, oh, Brunskill's the guy. Like, he's going to show out and all this, and then I had egg on my face. So I'm just kind of like, I just don't think it's Radnunes. I don't think it's, you know, Brunskill. I really wish it was one of those guys, though. I hate, like, today I shared just about that draft, the 2021 draft. It's just terrible, you know? You go through there looking at it, and you're just like, man, can one of these guys, like, be a real starter, you know? So that's why I wish it was him, but I don't know, you know?
Yeah. So for me, right now, I think you got J.C. Latham, Peter Skoronski, Lloyd Cushenberry, Daniel Brunskill. I think those are pretty much locks for starters.
So you think Brunskill's going to start? Yeah, I just don't know.
Yeah. I think right now with what they've got,
I want him to. I really want him to.
And then for me, so that leaves your right tackle. And I mean, looking at it, you've got NPF, you've got Jalen Duncan, you've got Leroy Watson. I know there's some other names you could kind of throw in there, but I feel like going into day one, as much as I hate to say it, I think it's kind of NPF's to lose at that tackle position.
I agree.
You know, he came back from the suspension last year and he struggled. Don't know what he's done this offseason, but for me, you've got those kind of locks right there with Brunskill at that position, and then obviously Latham, Skoronski, Cushenberry, and then at that tackle position, that's kind of the toss up for me. And I mean, I don't know a lot about Leroy Watson. I haven't watched as much tape as I probably should have, but for me right now, I think it's kind of NPF's going into camp.
Well, I'll be honest with you, man.
I agree too.
You know, I'm
100%.
an opinionated dude, and I've been watching a lot of tape on Leroy Watson and Sadiq Charles.
Leroy Jenkins.
I'll be real honest with you, man. I will be shocked if Sadiq Charles isn't a starter.
Really?
On this team. Yes. Okay. And
that's
just because
that's who I was thinking of. That's when I was trying to say the S. That's who I meant. That guy.
Yeah, man, is the Callahan, not Brian Callahan, Bill Callahan. Callahan handpicked him, just like Latham. You know, he said Latham's my favorite guy in the draft. Sadiq Charles was his number one offensive line signing. That was the only one he came out, other than Leroy Watson, but that was just because he was on the team. But he didn't come out and endorse that guy. He just, you know, was like, oh, yeah, you know. But he actually endorsed Sadiq Charles more than once in a press conference. So I feel like Sadiq Charles is just, I don't know. I feel like he's going to be it. And I really feel like I don't know, man, whether it's right tackle or right guard. A lot of people are saying guard just because he hasn't hardly had a shot at tackle. And, you know, they're probably right. He's a little short arm to be a tackle, but I still think he's got enough power. And on the right side, you're really just looking for power. You're not looking so much for finesse like you are on the left side. So I think he's got a really good shot at it. I think Radens is another guy that's got a lot of potential, but I don't know if he'll ever live up to it. I think a lot of his fans got a little jaded thinking that, you know, maybe Vrabel wasn't giving him a fair shot. But if he doesn't make at least a backup, you know, like direct backup spot this year, then maybe he's really not worth the hype.
So where's you all's comfort
on that? Well, I mean,
this year?
That's kind of what I meant with when I was talking about when I was trying to remember, I was talking about Sadiq Charles, but, you know, Link was, you know, he mentioned about how he thought that Brunskill might actually get the job. So, like I said, last year I was all in on Brunskill. So I would be super excited if he got it. But if it's between one of those guys, I'm not going to be angry because
Right.
it's obviously who I thought would get it this year versus who would get it last year. So all I'm asking is whoever has the position is just to fucking produce.
Yeah. And that's kind of
That's all
my
I
thing
want you
going
to
into
do.
this year. I mean, can we all agree that we're in a much, much better, like head and shoulders above where we were last year, even going into training camp? I mean, where's your confidence level with this line going into this season? I mean, do you feel much, much better about it? Do you still have questions? You know, how do you feel about this line with
Oh,
just
man.
what you've got right now on the roster
No.
compared to last year?
I mean, the only question I mean, of course, we all, it's a totally different team, right? So, do we need the same line that we needed with Derrick Henry? No, we don't.
No.
It's just a whole different game. But with that being said, like, I guess the only question I have is Skronk. Like, let's see, like, what has he got? Like, I believe in Latham. Like, they took the swing on him. He wasn't my guy, but then again, I'm, sitting in my storage barn on a podcast, and he's playing right guard for the Titans. So, the whole thing is like, I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to question any of that. So, like, I feel like we're a million times better in that position. I feel like that was our 100% weakness. Besides the secondary, I feel like if there were just a few games last year where we could have just got 3 or 4 more sacks and stopped 3 or 4 more passes, we would have 5 more wins. We weren't like that terrible of a team. We were so close in so many games, and so it's just like I have a really hard time. Like, I see so many analysts saying like, oh, well, you're favored in only 1 game, and we think you're not going to win more than 5 games. And I just think that's crazy. I don't know. Maybe that's just the fact that they're really questioning, the fact like what Will Levis is going to do his second year. But I mean, what else, like, on paper gives you the impression that we're just going to be the worst team in the NFL?
Yeah.
I just don't see it. I don't see
Yeah,
it at
I
all.
don't see that much either.
That's kind of where I'm at with this season because they have, I mean, we just talked about the offense. They have the firepower to upset some of the best teams in the NFL. It's really going to come down to how quickly can they mesh and get on the same page. Can the offensive line, because this isn't, you're going in with an offensive lineman, even though you've got more talent there. And I'm not as worried about this just because of the coaching staff now. I mean, with Bill Callahan, he's going to put out a good product. I have no doubt in that. But for me, it's going to be how quickly can everybody get on the same page? That's Will Levis with each of his receivers. That's the offensive line. Can they work off each other? That's the defensive line. Can they open up holes on one side because Jeffrey Simmons is getting doubled? So for me, it's just it's going to be how quickly can they kind of form as a unit. But the firepower is there. I mean, your secondary is much improved. Your offensive line is much improved. Linebacker positions, I still kind of have some question marks about that. We'll see where it goes outside and inside. But yeah, that's it for me because the talent's there. The firepower's there. Can you put it all together by week 5? That's going to be my question.
Yeah, man, that's exactly it. I mean, we've got all the talent in the world right now. Our defense, I guess, is a little suspect if you want to say like the middle of the defense and the secondary. Secondary is not really a question mark. I mean, safety, I guess, is a question mark. One of the safety positions
for the moment,
is a question mark. Let me say that.
We're still going to address it. I think we'll still address it, though.
That's a huge
we definitely
stretch.
will. I think we'll still address that safety position. Like, our secondary is better. I mean, when we were all younger, one of my favorite Titans to watch was Samari Rolle. And I just remember that secondary as being lethal. And I feel like the secondary is way better even that was. So, our linebacker core is going to take us as far as we can go. Cedric Gray, I'm super excited about that. We have all the talent in the world on the defensive side of the ball, and we have all the playmakers in the offense. It's just that we have a young quarterback and a young core running back, and that's where it all starts, right? Yeah, you can have your veteran line all across the front all you want, but you've got a starting running back or, a 1B starting running back and a starting quarterback there in the second year of their career. And you got Tony Pollard, who's in the 5th year of his career? I don't know. He's still young. You got some vets all around the wide receiver core for sure. But, That's really like the whole thing. Like we've got a great defense, we've got great pieces of the puzzle on offense. It's as far as Will Levis and Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard can take us at this point. I hate to say it, I hate to put the pressure on the young guys, but it really is.
It is. Yep.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. And that leads me into a segue into our next. Do you have any hot takes for this season?
Hot takes. I feel like the way that we've got the black eye from the national media, I feel like any loosely risky hot take is a hot take for the Titans. So I think we take it, at least best we take the wild card. I think we're not this 4 or 5 win season that Vegas thinks we are. We're literally favored in only one game, like the Patriots game. And that's insane to me. How can we not even be favored in one divisional game, even at home? That just makes no sense to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many times have we seen the shittiest team win a game at home on a Monday Night Football or a Thursday night or anything, just because it's just the way it works, right? You have that. Yeah. So I just, the disrespect is through the roof. I saw one of our followers on the page, Frank, who always is a good supporter. I saw him follow in and say, let's count how many times the national media showed respect. And like, yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. It's like they don't respect us enough to even like give us faith that we'll beat one team other than the Patriots, who are probably going to be the worst team in football next year, right? Let's be real. Patriots might win 2 games, unless Drake May is this, second coming of Tom Brady. Like I don't see the Patriots winning more than 2 games, and that's the only team we're favored against. So, it is what it is. I'd rather us be underdogs than favorites anyway. So
that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
And my hot take for the season is actually a little bit, I don't know. I've said it a couple times on social media, and every time I do, it just gets absolutely no response. So maybe I'm just crazy. But I think, personally, at the end of the season, it won't be 1A, 1B running back. It'll be Tajay Spears, number 1. Clear and definite number 1. And then Tony Pollard's going to be the backup. I don't think he's going to like that, so I think we're going to have an issue next year with that. But that's my hot take as far as crazy, outlandish things that nobody else thinks is going to happen.
That's into season, or that's game 1?
By the end of the season.
Yeah.
Spears,
okay.
Clear number 1.
Sure. Hey, I would be excited for that. I was very adamant when they drafted him. I was like, anybody listen? I was like, hey, this is a good pick. You can talk all the shit you want. This is a great pick, So,
what you got, Link? You got a hot take?
A little bit. So I'm going to give, I don't know if you call it a hot take. What I'm going to do is give kind of a best case scenario for this season for me. And I do think it's possible. So I guess you can consider it a hot take. I think Will Levis goes over 4,000 yards this season. I think with the weapons he's got, I think he surpasses 4,000 yards, and I think Ridley ends up double-digit touchdowns. I think he pulls in 10, 11 touchdowns this year. And then that being said, I think they, again, best scenario, I think they do pull the wild card. I know my record prediction was like a 9-8, flip-flop one game, you're 10-7. I don't know if they win the division just because how this division is stacked up, because I think the Texans are going to get some things figured out. I think Lawrence is going to have a pretty good year. I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Richardson is up for comeback play of the year as a sophomore. I mean, that wouldn't shock me at all. So I guess you could call that a hot take, but I do think they have the potential to make a wild card and maybe pull an upset in the playoffs. But yeah, I think Will Levis has a big season. And I think Ridley's going to be right up there. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to take a lot of heat off him and open him up for a lot of stuff across the middle.
This is my favorite hot take so far in the comments. That's fantastic. Good job, Jared. All right, personal time. Ti, I got a couple personal questions for you before we wrap up tonight. I rarely do this with guests, but I want to know. So you just got done mowing. You're sweating balls. It's like 98 degrees, 70% humidity.
That's
Normal day in
all I did
July.
yesterday. I did yard work all day yesterday. So it's
All right.
diddle-oo, diddle-oo. Let me transport to that moment.
A genie pops up and gives you your favorite beer. What is it?
Oh man, my favorite beer. Oh man. I have so many local ties. You're gonna get me in trouble. A lot of people don't know I managed a wine and spirit store for about 15, 16 years. So like I have a lot of local
Connoisseur.
ties. Like I have friends. I'm great friends with Michael Quaz, a little hard, but great friends with Carl Meyer at Black Abbey. Like I love all these guys, but I will say I used to drive out of state for this beer because it wasn't available. Whenever I was on vacation, I would bring back cases of it. But there's a brewery in Michigan called Bell's, and they make an IPA called Two Hearted. It's classic. It's not overly hoppy. It just fits the bill. For years, it was like the go-to IPA before like the craft beer movement exploded. And if I'm gonna probably like if somebody was like, "Hey, you're on an island, you only get one beer for the rest of your life," probably gonna be it. Probably gonna be it. Picked up to go order tonight at my local restaurant. I had two of them right there. So I mean, can't lie. I already had a couple of them tonight, so that's probably my go-to.
Awesome. That's Paul. What are you doing, man? Azima?
But I love all my local people. I love all my local people, though. I do. I'm not knocking them. I love Bearded Iris. I love Black Abbey. I love Little Harpeth. I love Yazoo. Like, I love all my local peeps. I have connections with all of them, and I would go to bat for them.
A local brewery just opened up in my little town, or it's about to open up in my little town, and I am so excited to go give them a shot. So Michael,
nice.
Quit clowning, dude. PBR is nasty, bro. PBR is nasty. That is nasty, man. Busch Light. What are my fans drinking, man? Oh my goodness, that's your choice.
Like, we didn't ask you how many. If you only had 1 minute, how many could you drink within that minute? We didn't ask that. So what beer you chose.
Good job, Link. Look at you, you supporting the fans, brother. I love it. I love it. All right. So anyway, all right. So I read your bio before I have you on. I kind of do that with a lot of my guests, but I enjoyed your bio kind of more than most. But something I read in the line said something about the only thing I love as much as football, or maybe more than football, is comedy. And that is me 100%. Sure. Comedy, music, football, and my family are pretty much my whole life. So yeah, as a comedy dude, I want to know, who's your favorite comedian?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
My favorite comedian. Man, I'll tell you what, I've seen some shows. I've seen some comedians. I've seen some shows. I have seen Dave Chappelle at Zanies before the Chappelle show even existed. I go way back. I even my wife, and I know my buddy Robbie's not on here watching, but he could attest to it. My wife, who at the time was my girlfriend, this is how far we go back. She wasn't even 21 yet. So Zanies, you had a 2-drink minimum, so she had to buy 2 Coca-Colas, and she was like, "Who am I going to see?" And I was like, "Trust me, you're going to see this guy, Dave Chappelle. He's unbelievable. He is probably one of the top comics in the world." She still to this day tells her friends about it, and they're just like, "Yeah, you never saw him," But I have seen, you name it at Zanies. I've seen Dave Chappelle, Lewis Black, Hannibal Buress. I was sitting front row at Hannibal Buress. One of the best shows ever in my life. Even at Zanies, saw him open up for Dave. Saw Aziz Ansari at the Tabernacle in Atlanta. Nick Swartzen at the Ryman. Like, dude, I love comedy. God, I love comedy. Oh John LaJoie, like long before the league even existed, like John LaJoie, seeing him at Zanies. My wife and I saw him, and we stayed afterwards to buy a CD, and he autographed our CD. Thanks for the Jonathan and Ashley. Thanks for the threesome. So it's just like, yeah, man, I love comedy. Like my whole thing is, I will sell myself out and every person in my group for a laugh. I will. I will. And not in a negative sense, but my brother, I've seen him pop in on the comments here. My brother will tell you, I'll sell his ass out in a heartbeat for a laugh for the whole group, and he's on board. And that's just who I am, man. I love to make people laugh. I love to make the experience better for somebody else. We're only here for a short time. I know it's a coined phrase, but it's real, man. And like, so many people think we're in competition with each other. If like, let's just have fun. Let's just not take it seriously. And, that's it. So that's me, man. So I will always like sell myself out to make somebody laugh. So comedy is my thing, man. That's why it led in the Titans Idiot Nation. It's like I wanted to find a way to combine sports and comedy and make it tangible for that, for whether you watch Titans every day or whether you don't even care. I've had people send me a message or like, I don't even watch football. Or like, hey, I'm a Lions fan, but like your page makes me root for the Titans when it doesn't affect my team. Or I have started following the Titans because of your page. I had a dad send me a message one time. It was like, hey, my son and I look forward to your episodes every week and we watch them together. And 4 years prior, there were people sending me messages introducing creative ways to kill myself. So like the times have.
Well, I think that's the real reality of the situation, though. I mean, it is when you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
It's just like,
just gotta have thick skin, That's what I tell people.
Exactly.
You gotta have thick skin. People are gonna tell you, like, it doesn't matter how good you are. People are gonna tell you the craziest shit, and you just gotta ignore it, roll on, or make fun of it, laugh at it. But yeah, that's me, man. Comedy is very important to me. I wake up in a good mood. I try to make everybody laugh. I try to go to bed making people laugh. That's just me, Doesn't mean I'm always laughing, but I go out of my way to make people laugh,
Agreed, man. I kind of do the same thing, and I'll put myself in weird situations just to make people laugh. But some of the great comments, Mitch Hedberg. Oh my God! If you don't know who Mitch Hedberg is, go look this guy up on YouTube. You will laugh your ass off. I promise you. Especially if you smoke one real quick. Cat Williams, always funny. Richard Pryor, that's OG. That's OG type stuff right there. Along with Eddie Murphy and Robin Williams is the real OG. And one of my new favorite comedians is Matt Rife. Do you know him?
Yeah, he's good. He is good. I like him. My wife likes him a little more. I think the ladies like Matt Rife a lot more than the guys because
obviously
he's very risque, He makes them. He has their inner cougar come out,
Yeah, I was gonna say he
does, But no, he's good. He is good.
I disagree with you on that, Michael. Sorry, brother. He's a fan, so I have to kind of address him directly.
But I like comedian, like, I don't know, George Carlin, Dave Chappelle. Those are two of my favorite. Richard Pryor. I love Richard Pryor. I mean, I'm showing my age. I'm a little older, but
Eddie
those
Murphy,
are my
Delirious,
guys. Like,
and Raw are the two best.
Oh man, But I mean, even the early Dave Chappelle stand-ups, the Killing Me Softly, they're just so good. I think they're underrated a lot. A lot of people get fixated on the new Dave Chappelle, but they forget about the old Dave, and it is so good.
Yeah, I honestly, I've watched Half Baked 1,000,000 times, and I didn't know that it had an alternate ending where he runs back and jumps after it, just jumps off the bridge. He's like, I can't do it. And they should have ended it that way. That would have been a better ending.
It's hilarious.
But anyway, Link, I don't want to leave you out, brother. What's some of your favorite comedians, brother? Uh-oh. Are you muted?
There we go. I was. My bad. No, I'll go new school since y'all went a little bit old. I saw some comments. Shane Gillis. Big fan of Shane Gillis. Tom Segura. Kind of a big Tom Segura fan. So, yeah, some of the newer stuff. Because, I mean, it's weird now because, I mean, it's so easy to get cancel culture. And I mean, the guys that are still doing it now and are able to still have fun and laugh about stuff. And the biggest thing for me is laughing at yourself. And that's what I look for now. Guys that can laugh at themselves, that's the stuff I love. So, yeah, some of the new age stuff I like. Shane Gillis is a big one for me right now. That Netflix show he just came out with, that Tires, that's some funny stuff, man. I don't know if y'all have watched that yet. That's some good stuff.
I've been meaning to check it out. It looks pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
But I like you know, I like the musical side of comedy too, though. I really appreciate people that tie the musical side into it.
Yeah.
Like you know, oh god, what's the cat? He
Brady.
recently did Wayne Brady is pretty classic, you know. Oh man, I'm not gonna be remembering the guy's name on the spot, but you know, he recently did a Netflix special where he locked himself like basically in this little tiny house during COVID and shot this one man whole comedy bit, you know. But he's done a lot of musical stuff as well, and he ties it in, and he just does a really good job. And I really appreciate like his stuff. Like, so like I love like the realistic comedy. I love the situational comedy. I even love political comedy. I love like every aspect of comedy, you know, as long as it's done in the right way, you know. There's a right way for everything, you know, and to make people laugh it's an art. It's not just,
Absolutely.
you know, you have to have a skill. You don't just, you're not just funny by birth, you know. There's so many people who try to be funny and they're not. And there's other people don't even think they're funny and they're just hilarious. And, you know, I'm
my wife.
not one of those people, but I'm in between. I have firmly planted myself in between. I'm like, sometimes I'm funny and sometimes I'm not funny, but I think I'm funny.
My wife's so funny, dude, because she'll try to be funny, and it's like crickets. You know, everybody's like,
dude,
I don't get that. But then when she just says shit that just comes to her mind that is just normal everyday shit, it's hilarious,
dude. My wife's the same way, man. I was in the kitchen one day, and my wife just busted out some shit. She was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be real. I'm just not really a fan of Mickey Mouse. And I was just like, where the hell did that come from? You know, I was like, that was pretty hilarious, you know? I mean, it was just like came out of nowhere, you know? And I was just like, all right. And I started laughing. She's like, what's so funny? I was like, that's some of the funniest shit I've ever heard you say, you know?
That's just random as hell.
Sometimes you don't know. It comes from nowhere, you know?
All right. Well, we are, I just now looked and we are actually over the hour mark, which is, usually I see that.
You guys have a cutoff?
I mean, not really, but
that's what happens when you have me on. I just keep talking and rambling, man.
I'll be real honest with you, dude. I've had more fun on this show than I've had in a while. You've been a really fun guest, and I'd love to have you back on if you'd be willing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude. I'm I mean, I put it out there like you know, I've told a lot of folks, you know, whether it was you know, Blueface, Matthew, whether it's, you know, Titans, you know, Coliseum podcast. I just really haven't been in the position in my house to just set up like to be able to actually like do a podcast or actually like go live on a Sunday or things, just because of the way my house is set up. So like I have spent the last couple weeks setting up this kind of, you know, situation so we can do the Sports City Nation podcast that we're going to be launching soon. And so like my whole goal now is to like join as many podcasts as I can, to kind of be as like a frequent guest, kind of be as a regular face on a lot of you guys Titans podcasts and, you know, just outlets and everything, because as much as I wanted to be in the past, I just haven't had the opportunity to. So now I do. So yeah, man, I'm all for it. Like
I'd love to have you on before the season starts again. And
yeah,
hell, if you want to be on before then, just let me know and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, just reach out, man. Just let me know, like, if you need some schedule filled or whatever, or if you know, we get into preseason game. I know, like, Sports City Nation, we're going to be going live. Well, I say live. We're going to be airing our first episode around August 1st. Our whole goal is we're going to start going live on Sunday nights, and that's another thing too I'll talk to you guys about. It's like we're going to be the first probably like 30 minutes to whatever of our first episode on Sundays, like when we go live, is going to be during the game. That's whatever game's going on. And we're going to approach it more of like a Manning cast type loose format. We're going to have people coming in and out, few minutes, talking this and that, having some fun, whatever. We're going to have episodes where we're going to have particular guests and everything, you know? So like, that's the whole point of the Sports City Nation, is like, we're trying to build a platform where we can invite everybody on, and everybody has a face and everybody has a voice. And it's not about just what we're doing. It's about just basically having fun with sports. And so, we'll have you guys on. We'll have, Blueface on, Coliseum guys. We'll have, basically Austin for Cork Bats. We'll have all of our people on. Like, that's going to be the whole thing. So for the next, couple seasons, that's like, obviously I'm going to keep putting my focus that I have with the Titans, but I've got a team that we're really working hard on, like, creating this whole new avenue, so we're real excited about that. And definitely have you guys on and cross promotion and all that for sure. Even it's just on, just on a Sunday night, like coming in and just having some fun talking football, like watching the game and laughing, so.
Yeah, man. I said this earlier, but I really feel it. I've honestly had more fun on this show. Maybe it's because I've had too much of the talking juice, but I don't know. I've had a lot of fun on this show. Link, what's up, man? Final thoughts on the show?
No, yeah, good show. I mean, I love talking with you guys. Love the comments. Love hearing from y'all as always. And we're getting closer and closer to training camp, so stay tuned. We're gonna have some special stuff in store. So stay with us, stay on the socials, and keep in touch. And we'll keep reaching out to you guys.
Like, and remember, the best way to support us, if you want to, is go on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notify, like, check out my shorts, whatever. You can follow us on pretty much any social media platform that you look for: TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We're all there. You can follow me personally, Maximus Titan Fan, on Twitter or Facebook. You can follow Link Rogers, Facebook or Twitter. And you can follow Titans Idiot Nation pretty much, again, anywhere you get your social media. Go ahead, T.I. You want to tell them anything else they need to know about you, brother? I know you got a new episode coming out.
Sure. Well, okay, so with Titans Idiot Nation, yeah, we we cover the games, we give previews, we give recaps, we have fun, the whole thing. Obviously this year I'm trying to take it a little further. I've brought a little couple extra friends of mine to the table. We're trying to do some extra bits, Titan Legend series, trying to introduce the Sports Idiot Nation. I say trying. We're already like full on force there. Already working on our first episode. So all I'm saying is just keep paying attention to all of our socials. I know that I have shameless self-promotion all the time, but as you guys know and everybody else knows, that's the world we live in. I have to use social media to promote my my platform, because if not, then where else to promote it at? And that's what we do. So I know that I annoy the shit out of all y'all, so I appreciate all the support and everybody and everything. But yeah, pay attention to Sports Idiot Nation. Keep a lookout there. Pay attention to Titans Idiot Nation. Got all kind of cool stuff going on. Myself, Jacob, and Jay Harper will be trying to do a lot of on-site stuff this year. So look for us in Nissan Stadium, tailgates, everything, just trying to get live footage. So we're going to be all over the place. Really trying to blow it up this year. So.
All right. Well, it sounds great, man. It sounds like you got a lot going on, man. And I'm excited.
Too much. I have too much going on.
To be honest.
Too much.
Just in preparation for you coming on the show, I actually watched, I don't know. Well, I think I've watched all your episodes, but I watched a couple of them recently just so, I'd have something to talk about or if I needed to. But yeah, dude, good stuff. Just keep bringing that content that I love. Yeah. Good show, guys. I really appreciate you guys sticking it out for us in this mess of a show that I've put together. But
no, man,
appreciate
it's great. That's what happens when I'm involved. Anytime I'm involved, it's going to turn into a mess. That's just because that's who I am.
It's absolutely fantastic, man.
I'm a beautiful disaster.
Yes, I like it. All right, so anyway, you guys. Until next time, you know the line. Tighten up. Peace out.
What up? Heck yeah.
And